The ghosts of Fallout. No, I'm not talking about the remnants of pre-war society, like the Halloween decorations or the gas stations filled with cars that haven't had drivers in over 200 years. I'm talking about actual ghosts in Fallout. Spirits of the dead still roaming the wasteland because of unfinished business, or maybe something more. Let's dive into the hard truths about the ghosts of Fallout and see if we can discover something new about them, something unique. And if it pleases you, maybe consider subscribing. As you can see, most people that watch these vids aren't subbed, so if you did, that would really help us out. The whole month of October, we're covering the more dark and stranger sides to Fallout, so you don't want to miss out. So where do we begin? Well, ghosts made their first appearance a long time ago in the Fallout franchise, in Fallout 2. You begin a quest by talking to the great Ananias in the Den, who spins a tale about a princess poisoned by a sorcerer, which is a metaphor for Anna Winslow's story. His tale leads you to a haunted room, where, at midnight, you encounter Anna's ghost. Yes, an actual ghost that will communicate. At this point, there is no denying the existence of ghosts in Fallout. Some people like to say that the developers of Fallout 1 and 2 didn't mean for things to be taken so literal, like the aliens from Fallout, we just covered that. But this is wholly different, as it's not just an Easter egg. It's a fully fleshed out quest where we're communicating with the dead, sort of. No hallucinogens either. She talks about a locket, but she's unable to interact with you directly. To find the locket, you head to Mom's Diner southeast of the Slavers Guild. Mom, the diner's owner, provides a clue about someone named Joseph or Joel who lived in Anna's house and left suddenly 2 years ago. This information directs you to Joey, one of the 3 thugs by the East End exit. Joey is in possession of Anna's locket. Here, you then have several options to retrieve it. Once you've secured the locket, return to Anna's ghost. Handing her the locket causes her to materialize into a pile of bones, signifying her soul's release from this world. Her unfinished business finally finished. But the quest isn't over yet. You must then give Anna a proper burial. You find a shovel near a bookcase in her room. Take it to the graveyard in the central part of the den. Here, you'll need to locate Anna's gravestone in the southeast area of the graveyard. Use the shovel to dig up her plot, place her bones inside, and then cover the grave again with the shovel. Completing this task not only brings peace to Anna's spirit, but it also rewards you in good karma, suggesting to us that this was the correct moral course of action. But who is Anna, and why is she a ghost? The only thing we really know is that her family lived in the den and then they passed on. We don't know whether that was a tragic event or just a regular one. It's even possible it happened before the bombs fell. We see tragedies everywhere in the wasteland. Everyone you meet in Fallout has a backstory of death or suffering, but ghosts are far and few between. Why did Anna's spirit decide to stay? I tried to find some answers to this, but all we have are theories. Possibly the locket is tied to her soul in some way, and when Joel stole it, she found herself restless. Obviously, this is the main point of the whole quest, but in Fallout, we retrieve lots of items that dead people left behind, personal or otherwise. And never do we encounter a ghost like Anna in this sense. I don't know. We can look at it from a less lore perspective view and see that the developers of the next Fallout games probably wanted to stray away from the obvious supernatural and keep it more vague. We've talked about devs with this type of view before in the Fallout franchise, like Chris Avalon. But did they really keep it vague? Sometimes, but I'll say this. Every main Fallout installment after Fallout 2 has ghosts in it. One last thing before we move on from Fallout 2. There was cut content of a ghost that would have appeared in Sulik's village, the Umbra tribe. There are mods that restore this content, so we do know that there were plans to have more ghosts in the game. But since it's cut content, we can't count it as canon, but it is interesting to know. Fallout 3 is interesting when it comes to ghosts. They aren't in your face like Anna. We have to do some investigating, some ghost hunting if you will, to discover their ethereal presence. Let's talk about a major myth that burned through the internet in the early days of Fallout 3, the Arlington Ghost. It was similar to the Bigfoot conundrum in GTA San Andreas, if you're familiar with that. People seeing things that were odd or unexplained and reporting it to forums, which led others to do their own exploring and come up with stories or exaggerations that continue to fuel this story. Because let's be honest, ghost stories are fun. But are there actual ghosts in the Arlington Cemetery? Personally, I would say yes, but not in the way you think. What people thought they were seeing turns out to mostly just be dust storms that appear sporadically, or there used to be this bug where Mr. Crowley from the underworld would spawn at this cemetery and run back home. I don't blame them. If you saw this from far away, you'd probably be creeped out too. Also, it is a cemetery, so it's inherently ghosty. But all of this is the shadows and the bumps in the night that led people into creating this little mythos. But rather recently, like a year ago, someone discovered that there is actually a ghost that is meant to be at the Arlington Cemetery. It's coded into the game and everything, meaning this is not cut content. But due to an LOD glitch on the PC version of the game and the extremely low draw distance on the console versions, he cannot be seen. West Virginia Loner on the Fallout 3 subreddit found an NPC named Poe that spawns when you enter the Arlington world space. Looking further, he's equipped with combat armor and a combat helmet and is coded to spawn and salute at the grave with the flowers. And then he'll disappear after getting close to him. The myth was real all along. We just never quite see it. In my eyes, this is another confirmed ghost, even if we have to use the back end of the game to see it. It's incredibly interesting and awesome to see. This is of course the ghost of a dead soldier or maybe a friend of one, visiting either his grave or a loved one. Other than cemeteries, we can of course head to the trusty Dunwich building for anything and everything of the creepy variety. Here, you can also hear strange voices that some people believe could be ghosts. When you find the obelisk in the basement, the voice that you can hear is repeating the name Al-Hazred. In the stories of H.P. Lovecraft, Abdul Al-Hazred is the author of the Necronomicon, or the Book of the Dead. Pretty big giveaway if we take that at face value. Plus, you can actually find a book called the Krivbekna in the Point Lookout DLC, in another unholy location that's probably filled with spirits or demons or whatever. The book is a clear reference to the Necronomicon, and you can return it to the altar here in the Dunwich building and destroy it, which elicits a horrible noise and a scream. Is this inherently ghosts or something worse? I don't know. It depends on your point of view. If you base it on the Necronomicon side of Lovecraft's works, then yes, we are dealing with a lot of ghosts and similar things. If you look at it from the more Cthulhu and Dunwich side, then it's more like interdimensional beings and cosmic horrors. All bad, of course. There are also these strange hallucinations you get while passing through the Dunwich building, where you see people from pre-war times. I don't think these are actual ghosts and are just actual hallucinations caused by whatever the altar is. For me, it's harder to say that we're dealing with ghosts here than at the cemetery. And why is that? Because here, you're being influenced by outside forces. The obelisk is messing with your mind. It is inherently supernatural, of course, but it doesn't mean that there are ghosts here. Whereas at the cemetery, it's a pure experience. What do you guys think as far as the Dunwich building goes? Ghosts or no ghosts? Other than that, Fallout 3 has given us all she has to offer. It's not concrete, but I think there is some strong evidence to suggest that hauntings are occurring once again in the wastes. Now in New Vegas, we can get absolute, concrete, without question evidence of ghosts by talking to one man.
Ghosts. Commie ghosts what don't know they're dead. Hoping to steal our rockets so they can fly up and paint the moon pink and draw a Lenin face on it.
Okay, maybe not, but check out this clip of confirmed ghosts. It actually is kind of creepy, but it has been debunked, as in the original game, this is where Ulysses would have sat, and you could have recruited him to be a companion. Now random prospector NPC spawns occur here and glitch out. Still kind of strange though. Okay, without all the jokes, let's get to the nitty gritty. Most of you know about the Good Springs Cemetery. Let's head up there and have a listen. As you can tell, there are ghostly whispers happening here as well. The souls of the dead reaching out for an unknown reason. What's more interesting is that this occurs whether you have the Wild Wasteland trait active or not. This is a canon event, solidifying yet again the existence of ghosts. There are other graveyards in Fallout that don't have this whispering. I tried to find a connection between Arlington and here, but nothing really explains why this is happening. Possibly just spooky Easter eggs. But head to Camp Forlorn Hope in Bitter Springs and you can also hear the whispers. These places have lots in common. Tragedies folded onto tragedies. Places where the dead shouldn't be dead. They're restless here. This makes more sense to me, to find souls here that feel wronged in life. These are dark places underneath the surface, so here we have ghosts. What about Fallout 4? Well, this is where we circle back to Fallout 2 levels of ghost sightings. The first is the Dunwich Borers. It's been talked about to death, and I'm sure you guys are exhausted over it like I am. It's very similar to the Dunwich building in 3. You go through the borers and have strange pre-war hallucinations, and you eventually arrive at another otherworldly altar that has infected the minds of the people here, including you. My theory here is the same as in 3. It's possibly ghosts, or more likely other supernatural forces at play. I just wanted to briefly mention it because it is similar to the Dunwich building. These places deserve their own videos, and trust me when I say they already have them. Loads of them. When it comes to ghosts, I'm a little more iffy on that. The more interesting ghost sighting happens in the Nuka World DLC, Lucy Grantchester. I recently covered her in a video I did, so I'm going to throw that segment in here so you can get an idea of what we're working with. In the eerie outskirts of Nuka World, where the lines between amusement and horror blur, stands the Grantchester Mystery Mansion, a place where the past lingers with a spectral presence. At the heart of this ghostly narrative is Lucy Grantchester, a figure whose story weaves through the mansion's dark corridors like a chilling breeze. Lucy was born into the Grantchester family, a seemingly ordinary lineage until tragedy struck. According to the lore whispered through the mansion's tour, Lucy, driven by the forces beyond her control, took the lives of her parents, Morticia and Hannibal. This act of violence led her to confinement in a mental asylum. On the eve of her 18th birthday, she made a daring escape only to meet a grim fate in the mansion's attic, where she was found hanging, a victim of a parent's suicide. Now, Lucy's spirit haunts the mansion, not as the young woman she was at death, but as a child, forever trapped in the innocence she lost. Her ghostly form appears sporadically, her presence felt in the cold spots and the silence that follows her. Visitors to the mansion might catch glimpses of her figure disappearing around corners or through walls, as if the mansion itself is playing tricks on the senses. Lucy's interactions with the world are limited, yet profound. When encountered during moments of chaos or battle, she might flee, her ghostly form darting away from the conflict. There's an intriguing visual phenomenon associated with Lucy. When viewed from certain angles near the mansion's windows, her shadow seems to sprout wings, an optical illusion that adds to the mansion's mystique. Some might assume that Lucy is just another haunted house trick, an illusion to scare others and get their money's worth. But no, she's not part of the attraction. This is an actual ghost in Fallout, guys. Like, confirmed right in front of our eyes. By the way, she did die when she was 18, but she appears as a child in her ghost form. I'm sure we could have a whole psychological breakdown vid for why this is the case, but let's just move on from that. I wish we knew more about why she killed her parents, or if that story is even true at all. But there's no more lore that we get on Lucy besides the narrator in the house. From what we can surmise, Lucy was involved with a tragedy, similar to Anna and most of the other ghosts in these games. If she did kill her parents, maybe her soul is cursed to wander the halls for eternity. Or maybe her story was never fully told and she can't rest until it is. But I think we're starting to connect some dots between the ghostly sightings, and it's one that many people believe in our own world. That spirits or ghosts are usually trapped here because of unfinished business and horrors that occurred to them. Fallout 76 is interesting. Take the Alpine River Cabins. If you're new to this game, this place is going to set you on edge. You'll hear screams and the floor shaking, pictures and other objects seemingly moving on their own. Clearly, this place is haunted. Until you realize that these cabins are actually designed to scare people and you can shut off the tech running these scares. You'll find it in a treehouse terminal located nearby. Haven Church, on the other hand, may be the real deal. When you get here, you learn about a story of raiders that decided to occupy said church. At night, they began to hear strange music coming from the organ pipes, but no one was playing. Nor is there an organ in the church. There's a piano, but it plays completely different music. This began to attract feral ghouls to their location, and eventually they were overran. You can come here at night and you can also hear the organ music. One of the raiders here will explain in journal entries that he believed that the place was haunted as well. There's a whole story surrounding this place about ghosts and the possibility of them. But in the end, it turns out that the organs were connected to an automatic system that the church had designed, and now it's malfunctioning. Once again, we're left with no ghosts in Fallout 76. I'll be honest, I don't know much about 76. Through research, I couldn't find any concrete evidence of ghosts in 76. Mostly it's hoaxes or odd occurrences that can be explained away. I thought maybe the Berkeley Hill Castle would hold some evidence, but nothing really happens there. Anyways, if you guys know anything about ghosts in 76, leave it in the comments below because I am curious. Obviously 76 is full of supernatural stuff, but the ghost variety isn't one of them apparently, which feels odd. Ghosts in Fallout are real. Are they important to the overall narrative or world? Not really. Or should I say, not yet. They mostly exist to provide atmosphere and eerie nuance. I guess the truth about the ghosts in Fallout is that almost all of them are connected through some type of tragedy, similar to what people believe in the real world. They haunt because they want something or something happened to them. The souls of those dead in places like Bitter Springs and Camp Forlorn Hope are restless because of what may have happened to them. How they fit into Fallout is yet to be explained. Maybe one day we'll get a DLC or some explanation about their existence, but until then, we will just have to keep theorizing. I appreciate you watching. If you could like and sub, I'd be grateful. We have more spooky vids on the way for the month, so stick around. Remember, enjoyed time is never wasted time, and I'll see you in the next.